Okay, so whenever the war games come to your gaff
Yeah.
game, and I'm always keen to see what's the latest with your reenactment collection. And
Yeah.
Last time we gamed, we looked at some infantry armour. We looked at the Brigandine
and the mail.
So today we're going to do the next sort of natural extension from that, which is some plate.
Some infantry plate.
But
Falchion's gone down.
But yeah, before we talk about that, you've got a brand new, nice tawny coat there.
Yes, I picked that up last week.
Yeah.
It's unlined wool. It's basically like a civilian. Civilian and military clothing. A lot of it was interchangeable, wasn't it? A lot of the time when you fought, it's like being a builder nowadays or something. You just put high vis on over your clothes or something.
Yeah.
Similar kind of idea. High vis and a helmet. Similar idea with a lot of the military stuff in the 15th century. So, yeah, this is. I guess they'd still be wearing this certainly at the beginning of the Tudor era.
Yeah.
And the old felt hat as well. Stuff in the what do they call the little bags? There's a word for them. I can't remember what it is. But little linen bag and the bollock dagger, sort of
ready to go.
Standard, yeah. And then of course, to be fair, you could put the armour on just on top of it as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of the advantage of a lot of this sort of stuff.
Well, that's the thing, because sometimes you see breastplates both on top and underneath coats, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If it's raining and stuff, sometimes where you see the coats worn over it.
Yeah.
I think we talked about when we were talking about the Brigandine about how people sometimes would wear them as a kind of bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
Or hide it under their doublets, not under their doublets, but under their coats and stuff. You'd be difficult to fit it under a doublet. But, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll come over to you then, and you can talk me through some of the pieces of armour that you've got on the bench.
Yeah. So, shall we start with the? Well, should we start with the? We'll start with the jack.
Yeah, go on then.
Because obviously, this sort of stuff you're looking at sort of later 15th century, so maybe like 1450s onwards. But I guess this would be like maybe 1470s, 1480s.
Into.
This would all still be worn into some of the campaigns that we war game.
Yeah.
In the 1520s.
Yeah.
You'd still obviously this kind of thing. Well, not obviously, but it is replaced by the Almain rivet.
Yeah.
This is like the precursor to it, I would guess. Called Almain rivet because it's what the Landsknechts wore, and the Landsknechts were German Almons, Almain. That's why it's called Almain rivet. That encompasses the arms as well, and sometimes a kind of gorget thing, doesn't it? But this is stuff that would be made for infantrymen to wear in the second half of the 15th century.
Yeah. Okay. Well, looking at that, that's just straight from the forge then, is it? It's blackened, or
yeah, has
that been treated in any way?
It hasn't, no. So that's a bit of a this is the thing about armour. So everyone's used to seeing very shiny armour.
Yeah.
Always a bit of a controversy as to was it really that shiny?
Yeah.
So there's a Toby Catwell lecture which is on YouTube about armour being for display and the armour they've looked at in the past, and basically to make it shiny could often be 80% of the cost.
Right. Okay.
So you think about that. It's
the labour, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah.
Making it shiny is pretty difficult. So we know that armour was cloth covered, it was quite common, and it was painted, that was another common thing. Sometimes it was just left unshined. So most of these pieces have never been shiny. The gauntlets actually were. I've had the gauntlets for a very long time, but to make them, they've been taken apart, put back in, reheated, and then so they're no longer shiny. So all of this, it's a difficult one because I think that a lot of armour wasn't shiny at all, and a lot of it would look like this, or be painted, or be cloth covered.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of the examples we still have in museums, people got a hold of the armour later and thought it should look shiny, sort of made it look shiny. And there's quite a few pieces in collections that they know originally weren't because there's traces of paint on them, things like that. This armour isn't blued. So you'll hear people argue sometimes that armour was blued to stop it rusting and stuff. having it blued was even more expensive than having it shiny.
Right.
Because you have to have it made shiny first of all, then it goes through a chemical process to be made blue, and sometimes with etching and things like that on it. It's really, really expensive.
Yeah.
So this isn't blued, it's just never been
Whilst
shiny.
It's
never been polished.
It's got a blue sheen to it though, hasn't it?
It does have a kind of blue sheen to it, but you can see it just looks like metal.
Yeah.
And so we've got the bever to dribble. comes from like some sort of old French for dribbling.
Right.
This is pretty cool. It's got an inbuilt. So all these pieces, I think they were made by St George's. I've had them for a very long time. I think they were St George's Army, but all the other pieces are by Armour Services Historical by Ash, the same chap who made my Brigandine.
Right.
And he also took them apart and blackened them as well. So Ash has done work on all of it basically. But yeah, the bever's quite nice. It has a nice little feature here where you can drop the top part of it, and it's got an inbuilt linen like thing for your mouth. So this sits on here because I'm reenacting, and you never know what's going to happen with people chucking stuff around things. I do actually tie the I lace the bever to the breastplate, which wasn't actually that common.
Yes, that's a thing that comes up in forums a bit. Did the bever sit on top or underneath?
Well, yeah, this is an interesting one because I used to think that it went under. Then I was told no, they were always worn over because obviously you want to take them off to drink, which makes sense. But in the new capital book on English armour 1450 to 1500, some of the harnesses that the effigies of do clearly have it like that.
Right.
This is the problem with armour. The more we learn, the less you know in some ways.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. Generally, most bevers you'll see, especially for like infantry stuff, will be worn over the top, and they're not often attached. Some of the more expensive harnesses, they have like bolts and everything.
Yeah.
But you often just see them worn like that. People seem to be, honestly, from what it looks like, they look to be, the fact that you can take it on and off, the fact that it might smash into your mouth, they don't seem to be as fussed by that.
Right.
Which is interesting. Obviously in a reenactment, you don't want it going up into your mouth.
Yeah.
But I do tend to point it on just for safety, really.
So I mean, in a reenactment then, only come, but someone's going to go for that, aren't they? And that's your face, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that deflects it into that area, doesn't it?
Yeah, I have seen that. I've seen someone in my group be KO'd in a full suit of armour just by being hit by a halberd in the bever.
And the bever going into the nose then? And...
The bever just went like that, and then the point of the halberd went into his shoulder, but it knocked him out. He was concussed. He didn't fall over, but he was concussed.
Yeah.
Then we've got a breastplate.
Yeah.
So you've got the breastplate, the placard, it's all attached. It's one, there's the lames here that come down, and you've got tassets attached to this one. So you can see how this is like later the stuff in the 16th century was definitely much like following this kind of form. But you'd still find these things like this being worn, especially in the campaign that you do your collection for 1513.
Yeah.
This wouldn't look out of place.
No, and sometimes you see images of the folds, the tassets, and the placard, but not the breastplate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just have a placard with because in this it's all one piece.
Right. Okay.
It's pretty basic armour, but it works. It's functional.
Yeah.
We've got like Manifa style gauntlets. I've got my gloves here. We'll put it all on in a second, but I'll just show you. So yeah, here's the gauntlets. These are quite nice. And of course, you've got one bit for the thumb, but then the rest, the Manifa kind of thing, just covers your whole, so you're not going to lose individual fingers. Really smart gauntlets would have something like this, and then other individual plates.
Yes, for
or
fingers.
bit like that on the fingers. Yeah, there's all kinds of different things. These are quite nice. I like these. I've had these for a very long time. And then we have a kettle hat, a deep style kettle hat. Again, you'd see these being in use from maybe 1450 through to like even the Boulogne campaign 1544. There's pictures of chaps wearing things very similar to this.
It's a good helmet for a siege, isn't it?
Exactly. Fighting, obviously there's visored helmets and ones that really protect your face. Most of soldiering wasn't about that.
Yeah.
A lot of it was about like you say, sieges, or just like various foraging and little skirmishes, things like that.
Yeah.
These helmets are really good. When I
Yeah.
put it on, you'll see you can still get really good face protection. What's good about this one is that Ash made this as part of he had it on his like sort of living history armor making setup. So it's been made, if you put I don't know if you'll be able to catch it on the camera, but it's been made like with a hammer, historic, like in a sort of,
Yes.
so you can actually see the hammer blows
You can. Yeah.
on the helmet, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it really does look like this is probably how a lot of this stuff would have looked.
Yeah.
Especially stuff made, not for smart, really expensive standard,
Yeah.
but for the grunts out there. Saying that, this isn't, although this isn't really shiny, beautifully done armor, it's still better than what a lot of infantrymen would have been wearing.
Yes.
There were still jacks and mail. There were brigs that were made of lesser quality. I mean, the jacks were made of, it's normally layers of linen, or like fustian or linen.
Yeah.
This one has actually been stuffed, so it's not exactly perfect, this one, but it gives you an idea of what they look like, and if it shows you how tough they were as well. If you look, it sort of stands up.
Yeah. Jacks
like
are
that.
often something that were made at home as well, aren't they?
Yes, exactly. It could be made. I think there are examples of ones that have been stuffed. I think there's examples of things with like horn in them and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's difficult because this kind of thing just doesn't really survive.
Yes.
We have images. Do you know what? I will put it on just because it will show you the. So it should have separate sleeves. It has got separate sleeves that have got that you put on with points.
Yeah.
But they're not as thick.
Yeah.
So this is just the actual. But if you put it on, you can see it gives that. There are some pictures of like is it archers in the Burgundian army where it comes up along the back.
Yeah.
It kind of shows you how it's basically like wearing a pair of cricket pads or something.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of an example of. It's also very good for sleeping on as well.
Right.
If you're like on campaign or something, you can fold it up, makes a nice pillow. So this, although this is this isn't like an amazing suit of Milanese or Gothic plate, it's still decent armour.
Yeah. Someone's investing in you if you've got that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can imagine retinues. Obviously, if you're a lord who had a lot of money and you wanted to show off, you could have it all shiny.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that did happen. Is the shiny thing is difficult? Was it polished or not?
And I suppose by the Tudor period, this is the type of thing that would be in church armories, where it's
very much so. Yeah,
it's no longer state of the art, but it still does the job.
exactly.
And yeah,
Exactly.
wouldn't be out of place at all at Flodden,
I'm sure there would be many
or indeed at France. Yeah.
things very similar to this.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
We'll try it all on.
Yeah. Well, we'll stop it there for a moment. We'll get it on.